All the plagues were directly aimed at the gods that they worshipped. Apis and Isis were gods of the Nile. Hegat was a frog-headed goddess, and he or she was the goddess of birth, and the frogs were considered to be sacred. So when God gave him frogs, he says, okay, you're going to have frogs everywhere. Set was the storm god. Ukhat was the fly god. Hathor and Apis were both depicted as cattle. So when they did the golden calf, that's where they got it. Nut was the sky goddess. Osiris was the crop fertility god. Re, the sun god, and he symbolized Pharaoh himself. So the last plague was a direct assault on Re, their top god. In Exodus 10:12, the locusts swarmed over the land and devoured anything growing in the field that was left by the hail. Since the plagues lasted a year, this would account for anything left by the hail. The exact duration isn't given, but it would be enough time for some plants to sprout, probably a couple, 3 months, I guess. Just when they thought that there would be food, the locusts wiped everything out. Even the fruit on the trees was not spared. The locusts brought total devastation to the land of Egypt. This led Pharaoh to repent temporarily. And in Hebrew it says he quickly. It's PL. He didn't say, okay, you guys come on over. It's like, you get here now. He quickly called Moses and Aaron, and said that he'd sinned against their God, not his God. He hadn't fully come to that realization yet. And he'd sinned against God and against them. A temporary softening of his heart, but God wasn't done with him yet. Yet again, Pharaoh reneged on his decision to let Israel go. And God said he hardened the hearts not only of Pharaoh, but also his servants. The Hebrew word for here, hardened, is kavod, which can also be translated as glory. So it's kind of a play on words. They would be hardened so he would get the glory. But not only just for them, but for future generations. And they're still talking about the plagues now, so that's why we have the Seder. Then came the plague of darkness, darkness that could be felt. Their land was devastated and now plunged into utter darkness. The Hebrew brings out the fact that no one stirred from their place. Their god Re was nowhere to be found. The sun had gone out in Egypt, but the sun shone in Goshen. Imagine how hard it must have been for Moses and Aaron to go before Pharaoh time after time, knowing what the outcome would be. He needed to have a steady vision and a strong faith for the time when the deliverer would come to escort his people out of slavery. Remember, we learned last week that this process took took place over an entire year. This account can give us great encouragement when we face difficulties that seemingly have no resolution. We look to the author and finisher of our faith, Yeshua. In Jeremiah, God speaks of the judgment meted out on Egypt by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. He promised that Jacob would one day return and be at rest. God promises to make a full end of the nations where he has driven Jacob. He promises to spare Jacob, but will not leave him unpunished. God is all-seeing and just in his dealings. Touch Jacob and suffer the consequences. In the short New Covenant account of the last moments of Yeshua's life, several prophecies are fulfilled. Exodus 12:46 and Numbers 9:12 stipulate that the Passover lamb must not have any broken bones. Unknowingly, the request of the temple leaders led to the fulfillment of this prophecy. They requested that the legs of the other crucifieds be broken to hasten her death. The Romans complied with the request, but when they discovered Yeshua had already passed away, they pierced his side to confirm his death. Zechariah 12:10 says, "And I will pour out on the house of David and inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and supplication. They will look on me whom they have pierced, and they will mourn for him as one grieves for a firstborn son." Even at the end of his life, Messiah made provision for those responsible for his death. What amazing love and boundless mercy he showed. Goodbye, Paloma.